something to share in either wisdom, story, or logic. And it's clearly amazing to hear all the differing missing links discovered by people unique to their own journeys and in how they have come to discover them. Together, we can help to build a bigger picture for a better future, for a brighter tomorrow. Let's stand united. Let's remove the veils and let's create a new world together. Are you that missing link? Join Jesse Hale on the Missing Link Talk Show as he helps to unveil the mystery through the unique wisdom and store of others.
Welcome everybody here back to the Missing Link. Today we're excited to have back on for the 7th time maybe someone who's a forensic researcher. He's an accountant. He's worked with the FBI with fraud and money laundering cases. He was invited by Jimmy Valley to join a confidential committee. And he's been talking about XRP. He's been sharing his information that he's been receiving from our Lord. And he's here to share more information with us today. Welcome back to the Missing Link, DavidXRPLion. How are you doing today, brother?
I'm doing fantastic. And thank you, Jesse. I am humbled by your generosity to host the show and take care of people around the world and humanity and just making this available for everybody. We're in a very prophetic time in our history, and what I can share, and again, everything that you see from me in terms of posts, videos, content, it's not me that's just jumping out there, just like Jesse. We've been tasked, we've been called, we've been given the privilege, and it is a definite privilege to be able to come before everybody on these platforms and deliver the truth, the word, the revelation. So again, thank you, Jesse.
You're very welcome. And for anyone that's not aware, that maybe was subscribed before to our YouTube channel, we got our 7th channel deleted by YouTube, I don't know, about 3 or 4 days ago. So we had to start a brand new YouTube channel that, I gave you and shared out. So please like and subscribe. About a month ago, we got our LinkedIn channel deleted. In 2020, we got our Facebook channel deleted. They've deleted us a lot because they can't handle the truth. But, the truth will set us free. So we just keep doing the best that we can to present every single side that we can possibly present and allow you all to decide and choose what you best align with, what you feel is true and right, and what will best better your life and your family's life. So where do you want to start here, David?
Well, the first thing I want to talk about is probably the thing that is on everybody's mind, and that is this inauguration that's coming up on January 20th. And the reason
let's
why
start on the 19th. Let's start on the 19th.
No, you take over the 19th. I haven't been following with regards to what the 19th is all about. Tell me what's going on the 19th.
Well, Trump is supposed to have a big rally on the 19th, the day before the inauguration. And, that's supposed to, I don't know if it's one of those things like they're dangling, let's see what you're going to do before the inauguration. We've all seen what happened on January 6th. So I was just wondering if your thoughts on having a rally the day before you're supposed to get inaugurated is a good thing, or could that just be, something that they're seeing if there's going to be any, foul play, done, and they're actually just setting them up?
Well, let's do some numbers. Let's look at calendars, or let's consider calendars. We're on the Gregorian calendar. We came from the Julian calendar. Presently, there's a 12-day difference between the Julian, which is 12 days behind, and the Gregorian, which is today. Okay. So we can all agree that there's this 12-day separation. What's 12 days backward from the 19th? The 7th, the 7th of January. What's the significance of the 7th of January? It was the Orthodox Christmas. I see you giving a little smile there, Jesse. What did Trump always tell us? We're going to have the best Christmas ever. He's promised that from day one. And he's also told us, make sure you're using the right calendar, because we know on the Gregorian, December 25th has issues. And technically, it's not the official date that Jesus was born. However, we go to the Orthodox calendar, which has Christmas being celebrated on the 7th of January. We go forward 12 days, and we're sitting there on the 19th of January. There's no coincidences here. That's why I wanted you to kind of open up with what you were hearing and what you were sensing with regards to January 19th.
Yeah, big rally. We'll see what happens. Obviously, I hope, things go smoothly, but I just, for some reason, I have a feeling, whether or not something, is planned, or they're just trying to say, hey, look, we're having this big rally. Let's see what you guys are going to do to set them up, right? So, that's kind of why I just have some strange feeling about the 19th, the rally before, because as we see with Trump, nothing seems to be smooth sailing. It seems like they're trying to attack him in every single, facet of everything that he's doing to make it as unpleasant and, for him to not be able to do all the things that he truly wants to do.
Well, the first thing, let's set the record straight.
This message is being broadcast by the Department of Defense of the Republic. A paranormal anomaly affecting the entire nation has been detected. For your safety, please carry out the following instructions.
God is in charge of everything. He is 100% in control of everything since day one. This plan and purpose that we're seeing taking place right now, it was created before time. It was created before we ever became flesh and blood and dwelt upon this world. So that's not a given. That's a fact. Okay. Going forward, the Global Military Alliance, along with Space Force Alliance, working with the Galactic Federation, they know who's in control. They know whose plan this is, and they have been assisting in the background to make sure everything that is supposed to take place in God's timing, not man's timing, in God's timing. There's a prophetic calendar out there, and I've been using it, and I've been tracking it based upon the revelation that he's been giving me. Nothing is going to happen that isn't supposed to happen. So we can take fear out of the equation 100%. And what is fear, Jesse? False evidence appearing real. Okay. What did God ask us to do, declare us to do, going back over the last couple of years? REST, resist every stupid thought. And right now, because people aren't resting, they're searching for answers to questions that only God knows the answer to. There are 5 people right now, 5 people out there that know when the emergency broadcasting system alert is going to go off. Just 5. Now we've got tens to hundreds of people out there in social media, all trying to figure out what one source and what 5 men know is going to happen. It's a whole lot of energy spent moving in the wrong direction. And I say that because as we come into January 20th, if you had put my slide up, Jesse, there's some things that everybody needs to be aware of. And you're going to go, we know that the election that took place where Joe Biden was declared president wasn't what's the word I want to use? Authentic and genuine election. They tracked everything that took place. There's the Brunson case that's sitting there in the Supreme Court with SCOTUS that can undo it all within 2 minutes. But here's what I want you to reflect on. We do know that the presidential inauguration on the 20th will not install Trump as the president for the U.S. Inc., which is bankrupt as of January 1st. Okay. For those that don't know, in 1871, our president at the time signed the United States of America and turned it into a corporation. By doing so, each person that was born became the property of the crown. Our mothers signed our birth certificates, which in effect declared us dead. We became a corpse or a corporation by the deep state, and every single dollar that we ever paid in income taxes, what we paid in payroll taxes, all that went out of the United States financial system, went to the crown. They took their piece of it, and what was left circled back around and was used to pay off our government, congressmen, senators. So they all went through that process. And that's why when you see corrupt people in the government and they don't leave, they just seem to be reelected and reelected and reelected and reelected, is because they're willing to keep these people in because they control them. And that's why they'll put so much money up to help their campaigns. Well, let's go to the second item. If Trump was installed as the president of the United States, Inc. on the 20th, it would just be another false presidential inauguration, just like Biden's was. And we also know that the new restored republic, or whatever they want to call it, it's now collecting U.S. taxpayer money. So, for example, anybody that paid income taxes, okay, under NESARA and GESARA, we're getting everything back that we paid in income taxes, interest, property taxes, anything related to taxes, we're getting that refunded back to us into what's called our quantum access account. Now, I'm going to take a minute and I'm going to talk about this, Jesse. There are people out there that are scamming people, pretending to be people like myself and other people on social media that will help you set up your QFS account, your quantum access account. That is 100% false, and that is a scam. That is a tactic coming from the pit of hell. It's designed to look for people that are ignorant or immature or don't understand what's going on and think they have to do something. Let me just make it very, very clear. You do not have to do anything with regards to your money, with one exception, and I'll cover that.
And just remember that David's been here over and over and over telling everyone that he's not going to contact you, that, that they don't have to set this up. So if you do fall for some of these things, it's on you, because this has been said over and over and over that nobody named David or DavidXRPLion 1 or however they call it, they're going to email you and say, let's set up this account. He's been sharing this for the last, year on here, telling you that two years he's been sharing this, that he's not going to be contacting you. Don't fall for any of these tricks. Nobody's going to come and say, oh, I'm going to help you with your XRP and all these other things that these scams may be about. So don't fall for any of that stuff. And if you do, that's on you, because this isn't new. This information has been shared over and over that, no, he's not going to contact you. These other people aren't going to just contact you out of the blue and say, hey, let's set up this account here, right? So just make sure you're very diligent, because there are lots of scammers out there. And so you have to be wary, and you have to be diligent on, who or what you're actually doing with your finances in this time.
Well, and I will say this, if there was a way to determine who's telling the truth, it would be based upon the number of scammers they have. I'm the third most impersonated person in the world right now. Number 1 is Trump. Number 2 is Ezra Cohen. And I'm number 3. And it's because the information is factual. It's truth. So they're trying to use my reputation falsely to lead you or others into being scammed out of your digital assets or anything else. So again, thank you, Jesse, for pointing that out. We want to make sure that we're very, very diligent at this point. I mean, the number of attacks have gone up. There's David Schwartz just posted today a Coinbase scam. So if you're getting emails from Coinbase or any other platforms, just ignore them, because they're scamming them too. They're putting up their front page, and when you click on it or you respond to that email, it automatically takes you to their website, where now they've taken control of your computer. They're searching for your information. So again, REST, resist every stupid thought. But I'll wrap up that point. On the QFS, the Quantum Financial System, that is our new platform that all of our finances around the world will operate under. Okay, so think of the QFS as it's up here. Okay, then below that is our accounts happening in our banks down here. Okay, so we have above and we have below. What happens above is what keeps us safe. So your Quantum Access account is already in your name. It's already established. So if you're married, there's one for you and one for your wife, completely separate. It's individual, distinct to you. It has all of your bank accounts mirrored in real time on it right now. It has your retirement accounts, whether in a brokerage or a non-brokerage account. It does not have your brokerage account for anything else. So if you own Apple stock, you own Microsoft, you own any other security, that will all disappear when the emergency broadcasting alert goes off. Bye. It's gone. You'll never see that money again. Why? It's defiled. It's corrupt. The whole system is corrupt. That's why we won't have it in our new economy. And as the Lord said, Dave, help everybody understand they have to let go of everything from the past and don't think and expect that they're going to bring it into the future. Okay. He stripped me of a $700,000 equity account that I built over 30 years in 2 weeks. He left me with $1,200. He said, Dave, I had to have you go through this so you could help everybody else understand what's coming. If you want to keep that money, you need to convert it into cash at your brokerage. Don't leave it at your brokerage because it's still in an investment account. It has to be wired out. It has to go to your bank account. Don't worry about limitations on FDIC or NCUA coverage for credit unions. Get it into your bank account as fast as you possibly can. They will do everything they possibly can to keep you from doing it. They'll say, oh, well, we can put in a money market account for you. Well, if that money market account is your brokerage account, it's not covered. So don't listen to your broker. He gets compensated on your brokerage balance. And I've said this before. Go ahead, Jesse. Go ahead.
This is a good time for this question. So Airbnb's asked this a bunch of times, so they're really adamant about getting this answered. Is Caleb and Brown considered a brokerage? And this is the message that kept popping up. Please ask Dave it's safe to keep crypto on Caleb and Brown as opposed to keeping on cold storage. He said to take it off all exchanges and stocks in non-retirement accounts as out as well. And probably over 5 times this message has been asked or question's been asked. So
what's the famous quote, Jesse? Not your keys, not your crypto. Now, if they have provided you with a guarantee in writing, then you have to go with the guarantee. But what's to say they can even honor the guarantee? See, the original plan. Let me back up for a second. And this is why I was brought to Twitter, to expose these situations. The original plan was everybody would just have all their digital assets on exchanges, Binance, Uphold, Coinbase, etc. The entire system would go down and all the records would be lost because the cloud is coming down. See, we're leaving this 3D world when it comes to finance systems, and it's all basically going to be shut down. So there won't be access to the cloud. There won't be access to the files that are on your iPhone. So if you want to keep anything that's on your iPhone, you need to put the little key in it, download everything, and store it on an external hard drive. Make sure that external hard drive is not plugged into your computer. Make sure it's offline because there's a hidden kill switch in the computers they most likely will activate, and your whole entire computer will turn into a brick, useless. So that plan was designed to keep everybody from having their financial assets. So, for example, you call, it's all over, and you get a hold of Uphold, and you say, "Hey, I want to get my XRP." They're like, "Okay, sir. What's your name?" You tell them. You say, "Okay. Well, here's what we need you to provide us with. Provide us with a complete detailed listing of every purchase that you made, along with any other records to support that you own what you say you own." Now we still have it, but we don't have any records to show what you own. So you have to give us your records to show what you own. Everybody goes, "Wait a minute, you're supposed to do that." And they say, "Well, you have a requirement too." And I learned about this going all the way back into the late 70s with a gentleman named Tex Ritter, who ran for Senate, didn't make it in, and was talking about how they were going to take out the nefarious element in the economy, and they were going to shut down the world for 5 days. Everybody would have 5 banking days to turn in all their currency for the new currency. And if you had too much, you're going to be taken into the back room, questioned why you had it, where it came from. And if your answer didn't make sense and you couldn't prove it, then they wouldn't convert it. And that was to take out the drug money and the mafia money and things like that. So, it's very, very similar to what their plan was for now. Now, we know the good guys are in charge. We know that they have defunct and taken out every sinister plan. They've neutralized nuclear bombs. They've taken care of all different kinds of threats, you name it. So we don't have to worry from that respect, but you still have to do your part, right? Because things are going to be shut off. It's like I'm trying to explain to people now on Twitter about Bitcoin. 0, people, 0. And this isn't a Kabbalist signal. That means 0. Why? it can't be a store of value for gold. There's no gold in it. With the new quantum financial system, there's no inflation. We're 100% gold asset-backed currency standard. You look at all this stuff, and all of a sudden, gold has no intrinsic value. Doesn't serve a purpose. Oh, and by the way, it's not ISO 222 compliant. Nothing comes into the new system that's not. And right now, there's only 8 tokens that do: XRP, XLM, HBAR, IOTA, etc. All of those 8 are mirrored onto your quantum access account right now. But you still have to hold the keys. That means if it's sitting on an exchange or on a platform, you have to get it out of their folder, pass it through the Ledger Nano so that you have the keys for identification to claim ownership. And now it's sitting on the XRPL in a folder that has your name on it. That's the only way you can guarantee it's yours. So when we go to the Redemption Center, they're now asking us to take our cold wallets and one of our passphrases, just one, to verify that it is ours. And this made total sense. And I know I'm kind of diverting a little bit, Jesse, but the Holy Spirit's kind of leading me down this path. Think of it this way. We get there and we have to prove ownership. Well, we're going to prove ownership, right, with our foreign currencies, with our Zim bonds right up front before we even get to the scan. We're going to tell them what we have when we get on the phone with the regional call center to set up our appointment. Why? They're going to have to schedule appointments for people that are going to be beyond the standard 30-minute appointment. If you've got 1,200 dinar, and I don't mean dollar value, I mean physical bills, and you have a suitcase of Zim bonds, you're not going to get done in 30 minutes. They're going to need to schedule you for your own appointment. I actually talked to somebody and I said, you may have a week appointment. Might take a week. And you might want to start helping them out by already, bundling your units into smaller packages to help them out. Well, why would I do that? Well, how long do you want to be there? Hello? Oh, and by the way, if they're in the tap note case, don't take them out. Leave them secured so they're authentic. If they want to take them out, let them do it. Okay? The moment you take it out of the package, it's no longer authenticated and it doesn't have that security feature for presentation. Okay? But here's my point. My point is the system was originally designed to steal it and take it all away because they thought everybody would be passive. It's like we ran into this in May of 22 when I began to help people understand that they needed to get it off of the platforms and get it into their own file folder. See, the XRPL, think of it as a giant filing cabinet. It has gone back in time and has picked up the ownership records of every single digital asset since creation. All of the Bitcoin was put on there, all of the Ethereum. And if you notice that it all has to go on there when they load it, that's what I'm drawing a blank right now. That's what happened with XRP. Okay.
Schwartz?
No, not Schwartz, but Caleb. So Caleb puts it on there and whoop, there it is. All 100 billion XRP on the XRPL. Everybody else creates a coin, token, NFT. Whoop, there it is. It never leaves. It just changes file folders. And what these platforms did, these exchanges, they became exactly what Wall Street was all about. In Wall Street, if you don't tell your brokerage company in a letter, do not allow my shares to be shortable, they personally, the brokerage company, Charles Schwab, you name it, TD Ameritrade, they loan them out to people that want to short the market with that particular security. Well, they charge them what's called margin interest to do it. It's not cheap, especially now. They keep all of that interest for their own income. They don't tell you they're doing it, and you don't get to share in it. It's highway robbery. It's theft. Well, they picked that up in the digital asset space. So what happened is, like, for example, Uphold. Originally, everybody had a segregated account. It means you had a file folder on the XRPL with your name on it when you bought your XRP. Well, when nobody was looking, they didn't tell anybody. They went ahead and took everybody's folders and dumped them into their master folder under Uphold. And then they gave everybody a little tiny, what's called a designation number or destination number. That's so where they knew where to locate it in their record keeping. Then what they did is this. They went to the Binances and all the other tradable platforms where people were trading XRP and needed it to trade with, and they staked it. So they were now earning that interest from those various platforms so their traders could borrow the XRP, either to buy or sell. This is how they were making billions of dollars of revenue every quarter. Well, what happened is we started to move digital assets for XRP, XLM, out of their aggregated folder, and we couldn't move it. And they were giving us this BS response, putting us into their bot system so the bots would respond to us, to the point where when you made a second inquiry, Jesse, it would say, please stop bothering us. Don't send us any more support messages. We'll get back to you. We're sorry you're having an issue, but we'll get back to you as soon as possible. 3 months would go by without any word from them, not once. You would inquire again, and then you would get the next level threatening letter or email response. And this went on and on and on and on. And people were trying to move their XRP and XLM out of that aggregated folder back into their own segregated folder through their nano, and they couldn't do it. And nobody wanted to listen. Nobody cared. The John Deatons of the world didn't care. They were too busy building their reputations on pretending to help people with XRP when there was never an issue with XRP. So I'm bringing it up because get it off the platform. Get your Ledger Nano Plus S, whatever it is. Buy it through Best Buy, because they don't repackage and resell open merchandise. You can't trust what's happening if you buy it from Paris and they ship it, because I found that out the hard way. I bought 4 wallets in the beginning. 3 of them were corrupted to begin with, and the Federal Express trucks are being robbed and stolen. They put in their encryption on them, they repackage them, look brand new, and then all of a sudden you get it. And the moment you use it, boom, now they have the keys, and in a matter of days, all of a sudden everything you moved in is now gone. There's nothing you can do. So I'm going to leave it at that with regards to that. So let's come back to this. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to say about the Bitcoin here. So we have Amik Kim 606 from our Rumble says, a senator here put out a bill a few days ago to be able to buy everything with Bitcoin. That is confusing. Thought Bitcoin is a no-no. And what I just heard or read a couple days ago is that the U.S. government has seized over $6 billion worth of Bitcoin, which they sold. Now, so they sold all their Bitcoin. Now,
some of it.
Why would they, or this $6 billion worth of Bitcoin they did sell? So they were saying that Bitcoin is probably going to go to zero. And this was the article that I read. If the US government is selling $6 billion worth of Bitcoin, they're liquidating it. And once it's known that this liquidation of $6 billion worth, that means Bitcoin will probably tank, was, kind of the words that they said in this article.
And then when did that article come out, Jesse? Today?
I think it was yesterday or the day before. I'm not sure.
Okay.
It may have been yesterday that I read this.
Okay. Well, I've done 3 white papers on Bitcoin already. And the qualifier was, does Bitcoin qualify to go into the new QFS system? The answer is no. Number one, it's not ISO 20022 compliant. And I don't know why people are having such a difficult issue, other than the Pied Piper, who is Michael Saylor right now, has basically taken control of people's minds, getting them to believe what is not true. And if you want to, go to my Twitter page at DavidXRPLion and go locate those white papers and read for yourself. Read for yourself what happens when you're no longer, the veil is lifted and you realize that all of the key words are basically smoke and mirrors. There's no gold in Bitcoin. It's not a store of value. It's not digital gold. It's like I said on James 6-8 show the other day. I said they're using that term because they're trying to give it a comparison to gold. Well, that's like, Jesse, I say that my Pinto is Ferrari-like. There's no comparison. You can't say something is like something if it isn't even close to the real thing. And that's what's happened. People have caught on to these buzzwords. Well, it's a store of value. Oh, it's scarce like gold. People, gold is not scarce. The Asian elders have a pipe to gold that never ends. It's self-replenishing. Gold is not a scarcity. We've been lied to, just like oil. Oil is a self-replenishing resource that comes from deep within the earth. Oil is going to go to 35 cents a gallon. Gold's going to be re-indexed back down to $35 to $50 an ounce, 30 days after Nasara. There's a big wake-up call coming for people. But again, these people out there that are nefarious are still playing their parts. Now, we did hear Trump say that he wanted to build a strategic reserve for Bitcoin and that the government would not sell its Bitcoin. Well, Jesse, what's a reserve? Wasn't that where they protect the animals in Africa? They put them all in there, and now they can't leave.
They did that also to the Native Americans. They put them on a reserve where they had to get passes in order for them to actually even leave their own reserve land. I've done lots of sweat lodges with lots of natives, and I said, and they told me it was even in the 90s. We're talking about like only 25 years ago, or 35 years ago, that they were having to apply to leave their own reservation for day passes. They couldn't just freely come and go. And this was here in Canada. And I was actually pretty shocked that it was that recent of time within the last 35 years that they were still having to ask permission to leave their own reservation.
Well, let's use that analogy and let's tie it to Bitcoin. I want to sell my Bitcoin. Well, submit your request. Well, what do you mean? Well, we'll think about it. People, what he was telling everybody was, hey guys, guess what? We're just going to close it up and it's going to be its own little thing, its own little bubble, like the mosquito in the amber. It's never coming out. Now, they're pulling in a lot of greedy people, have greedy hearts. Oh, it's going to 2 million. It's going to this. Well, you know what? I've got a chart. I continue to post it. Within 30 minutes of me posting my first white paper, because the Lord sent me in to do this, Bitcoin started to tank after it hit 108. I did the second one after it had done its next run up. By the next day, it had already started to fall. It is at the breaking point right now. Its next target is about 62,500 to 75,000. And it's going to be a knife. But see, here's the big issue. And you partially brought it up. Okay. Tether is involved with Bitcoin. Tether owns 15% of Bitcoin. Why did Bitcoin go up to begin with? Well, because Tether had to cover losses coming in from Operation Sandman as the 209 BRICS nations sold back their U.S. Treasury bonds. As of January 1st, the Treasury bond auction market for U.S. Inc. is done. Fiat currency, fiat banking is over with. The new quantum financial system is already fully engaged and coming in as our new global financial system. All of the stuff from the past doesn't apply. So think about it. Everything that's mirrored into your Quantum Access account right now, that you don't have to do anything to create, it's already there. So the moment the emergency broadcasting alert goes off, they cut the cord, and whatever was in your credit union or bank account's now zero. I just posted an article today that gives a very, very clear analogy of this coming from AMG News, Lydia Greer. So it's not a question of if, it's when. And we're coming into this inauguration timeframe, and for President Trump to go through an inauguration in the same fashion as the old US Inc. makes no sense. Why? Because it's already defunct. It's bankrupt. It doesn't exist anymore. Now, we know under the Nasara agreement, which all 209 nations signed, everything requires a new election process. So as I pointed out months ago, this new election process is going to be completely done through the QFS. So think about it. You have to get through the Redemption Center to claim your account on the quantum financial system. Once you're on the quantum financial system, you're registered, Jesse. You've been identified as a person who lives in the United States. You're eligible to vote, right? Because 18 and up. That's how the next election will happen within 120 days of Nasara. It'll be a one-day election. This is for our new republic. This inauguration is for the old republic.
This is why I heard the 19th may also, and I said what I said at the beginning, but it also may be to announce that he's not going to do inauguration, that this is the whole U.S. corporation has been defunct, and they're going to have a new election within, I think 4 months of the Nasara Jasar, where people can actually vote and do a real vote. And, so this potential is another scenario possibility of why the 19th was called and why that may be so important, because, some say that he doesn't want to swear into, the fake U.S. corporation.
Exactly. And it's important that people understand this, because, there's far too many people out there that are trying to use the old overlay to apply to our current situation, and the two don't match. Okay. Oil and water don't mix. So we can't anticipate that's what they're trying to do. And I'm glad you said it, Jesse, because I wanted it to come from you, exactly what the expectation or possible situation is for the 19th, because I'm of the same opinion that there could be some kind of an announcement that says, everybody, I'm not going to accept inauguration under the old system. And we're going to go ahead and have a new voting system that's already in place on the quantum financial system. It's secure. It's unhackable. Everyone that is registered to be on there will be able to vote. You'll be required to vote. That's the other thing. Every person that makes it through the quantum or makes it through the redemption center, and I'm actually pointing to my right. So I need to do this. Whoops, that way. You'll be required to vote if you make it through the redemption center. If you don't vote, they'll freeze your account. They'll freeze your money. You could lose it. So just be prepared for that too. I read through the entire document. I got the download on what's going to happen. I posted on the download, over 9 months ago. So it shouldn't be anything that's foreign to people. So just be ready. Be ready for the new QFS electronic voting system, because people that aren't residents of the United States, people that aren't qualified to receive NESARA in the United States, have to go back to their country of origin to receive their GESARA benefits. So a lot of our workforce is going to be gone. So, we're going to have some demand and supply issues for a short period of time. Nothing to be overly concerned about, but just be aware of it. And they're going to help these people leave our country in order to get there. Now, there's some other issues that come into play, and we start talking about our kingdom and the fact that there are 7 kingdoms, right, Jesse, that are going to take over. Our kingdom is us, Greenland, Australia, New Zealand, Panama Canal. The reason why I want control of Panama Canal is, number one, we gave it to them. And number two, it borders on another country or another kingdom. So we don't have South America. We don't have anything past the Panama Canal. So that's an access point to come in to our kingdom. But all of them have been already established. So what's happening now is we're hearing the dropping of what's going to take place. Oh, Greenland. Oh, this. Oh, that. The UK? No, they're not part of our kingdom. They're their own part of the European kingdom. So we don't have to worry about that. But everything that's taking place right now that we're hearing from Trump, he's just dropping what's taking place. Now, you may remember that I made the comment at one point that he kind of deviated from the Q drops, and he was picking up the items that were that I listed with regards to what was said during the 1994 meeting that I had with Dan Ostenkowski, chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee. And he listed all the items that he had already identified were on the chalkboard at the White House, going all the way back to Kennedy. Privatize the Postal Service, remap Social Security, eliminate income tax and bring in a 14% consumption tax, no tax on investments, no tax on retirement accounts, that each person would receive up to $25 million. And that was prorated based upon your age. The older you were, the more money you would get, et cetera, et cetera. So nothing has changed. And he had covered every single one of those items except for number one. And I made the comment, I said, the only item he hasn't covered yet, Jesse, is privatizing the Postal Service. And if it was last week or maybe the week before where he said, oh, by the way, maybe we should privatize the Postal Service. Check the box. We're done. All the items have been covered. We're at that point now where there really isn't much more to do. We're just waiting for the word. And that could be on the 19th, Jesse. That could be where we get the information that says, okay, everybody, here's what's going to happen. Now, does it mean that the nefarious people aren't going to still try to do stuff? No. There's still some minions out there, and we're aware of that. They're aware of that, and they're neutralizing everything that could possibly be done. So there is no fear. Fear not, says the Lord, for I am with you.
I love that.
Fear not. So what are we going to do? We're going to be just like Daniel when the angel of the Lord came, and he told him, be strong in spirit. We're going to finish strong, everybody. We're finishing strong. So don't allow that mindset to pop in because everybody's talking about fear. There are some pretty, ferocious things going on right now. Yeah, they are. But we're in what's called a SORA, and that's a strategically organized or orchestrated reality awareness war. We're in war. We're at war with evil. Now the devil's locked up. He's chained up. He's not the issue. God's already taken care of that. 1,000 years of peace on earth. It's already started. But it's the lost ones, the last ones, the ones that aren't going to make it through the redemption center because their hearts aren't pure. And you and I and everybody else out there today have a responsibility to get right with God, number one. And that means if you've been moving in the wrong direction, you've been going down the wrong freeway, hit the first off ramp, turn around, and let God know that you're ready to come home. You are a son or daughter. You have to claim that. But once you do, it's just like a soldier in the army who was commanded by his commanding officer to go and kill the enemy. That soldier doesn't tell the commanding officer, when the commanding officer says, okay, go in and kill him. Hey, Sarge, and when I come back, am I going to be tried for murder? Am I going to be living the rest of my life in prison? He's just laughing at him going, what are you talking about? When I give you an order, you're absolved of everything that you have to do, as long as you stay within the guidelines that are required. Well, same thing applies to all of us. We had to come to this world. We had to partake of its sin nature, self-inflicted narcissism. And God said, you're going to have to do it. But when you come home to me, and I guarantee you, I will provide you a way home. Think about this, Jesse. I guarantee you, I will provide you a way home.
Love that.
He was so adamant about that what did he do? He became flesh and blood and dwelt on this earth as Yahusha or Jesus to point us to the way home. That's why we're here. That's why that was our purpose and plan the whole entire time. We weren't here to get rich. We weren't here to do all these other things that man has told us, oh, you need to be like me. Well, no, Satan already taught us how to be like him, how to steal, kill, and destroy. The difference is we called it success. We walked over people. We cheated people. We stole from people, but we called it success. And now you have all those people. Hey, I'm 10X. I'm Mr. Self-Made. So what? How'd you do it? How many deals did you rip people off in? How many times did you steal money from people? Probably every single one of them. The point being is we're to come to awareness of that. And just like in the parable of the 5 talents, the parable of the prodigal son, that's our way of knowing God's love for us, which has been hijacked through the church. God's been made a punisher. He's not. He's a loving father. He's waiting for us to come home. That means to turn around, to repent, get off the wrong path and get on the right path. Why? Because number one, we regain our royal status as sons and daughters. Number two, there's an earthly inheritance. And that's what's being given back right now, Jesse. Every single dollar that was stolen through your entire lineage is coming back to you. I've had this confirmed by third parties. Every single dollar. So if your parents are gone, it's rolling up to you and any other siblings you have. And the word I had been given from day one was it went all the way back to Adam. All the way back to Adam. Why? Because that was the day that Satan got to rule this earth. And he got to do it for 7,889 years. It's over with. We've been through the 7 years of tribulation. That started on July 11th, 2017. The midpoint was December 21st, 2020. And the end point was June 2nd, 2024. That was XRP's birthday, 12th birthday. And I've got some new dates for you to take a look at.
Before you give the new dates, I just wanted to say something about, you said, repent. And it has a lot of religious connotation to it, but it just means change your ways. Change your ways from what you may be in alignment with, not in alignment with God. Just change, do better, be better, is basically, what the meaning of repent is. Because sometimes people get, oh, repent, that's a religious nonsense. And, because of all the crazy things that has happened with religion, some people are really put off by that word. And it just means to just do better, be better, change your ways, come back in alignment with God.
Exactly. And you're absolutely right, Jesse. This is where religion has hijacked the system because it's brought everybody into a state of fear. Okay. And if you don't take away anything else but what I'm about to say, mission accomplished. You were tasked to come and live in this world. God made that very clear to me. You had a discussion with him before you became flesh and blood. You volunteered to come into this flesh. But by doing so, he already acknowledged, hey, you know what? You're going to have to partake of it, Dave. You're going to have to taste it, Dave. You're going to have to do this, Dave, and you're going to have to do that. Well, I don't want to do it. No, I'm sorry. You have to. You have to experience it. And when it's all said and done, I'm going to provide you a way home, and I'm going to absolve you of everything that you had to do. So the devil can never make a claim that will ever stick, that you did something. See, the same thing with a soldier in the military. He's absolved of everything that he does. He could kill 1,000 people as long as he did it under the right circumstances and he was ordered to do it. He doesn't get court-martialed. He doesn't go before a judge and said, well, you killed 1 million people or 1,000 people, so now you're going to be you're going to be in prison for the next 3 lifetimes. No. So get over that issue. We had to do it. Take the 60-pound pack off your back. Say, Father, I want to come home. I'm tired of living in the pig poop, eating the pig poop. I know you're a loving Father. Once you acknowledge that and you just receive him back into your heart and you accept the fact that he, as Yahusha or Jesus in the flesh, made that all possible, it's over. It's done. Why? Because now your heart's open. Your heart's ready to go. You're not holding on to all that crap that religion has placed upon you and everybody else. So they go to church to give everybody the impression there's something, and then they go back into the world on Monday through Saturday, and there's something else. You're absolved once you run back to Papa. It's not coming back. He understands that. So don't condemn yourself for having done that, for that being part of your past. He knew about it. He told you it was going to happen. We just couldn't remember. So, with that, let's talk about some dates that are quite interesting. If we take January 20th, the inauguration date, the latest thing we've been hearing about is this big party celebration that's supposed to be from Memorial Day through July 4th. You heard about that, Jesse?
No.
Trump said that we're going to have the largest celebration ever. Starts Memorial Day and goes all the way through July 4th.
When's Memorial Day?
Memorial Day is May 26th.
May 26th to July 4th? May, June.
That's 39 days. Okay? 3 plus 9 is 12. 1 plus 2 is 3. Trinity. It's 1 month and 8 days. 1 plus 8 is 9. 9 is completion. It's 5 weeks and 4 days. 5 plus 4 is 9. Completion. It's 936 hours. That adds to 18. 1 plus 8 is 9. Completion. Are you picking up what I'm putting down? Completion. If we take January 20th to May 26th, it's 126 days. That adds to 9. Completion. It's 18 weeks. Completion. Completion, people. Memorial Day through July 4th. Completion. Why would we have a 39-day celebration? What comes into your mind, Jesse, when you think about the number 39?
Tesla 369.
Okay, it's part of Tesla. How many times was Yahusha or Jesus whipped? 39 times.
39 times.
And each one of those lashes was a disease or an infirmity. There are 39 diseases in the world, and he took a lash for each one of them. What's happening with the healing that's coming, Jesse? The med beds. All of our infirmities are going to be gone. All the soldiers and the people that went to fight for our country to save us. And I want to give a personal thank you to each and every one of you right now for putting yourself ahead of everybody else for us. I know it was a tremendous experience to go through. Well, all limbs will be regrown. All damaged organs will be regrown. Cancer will be eliminated. Everything will be made whole again. There will not be a spot on us ever again. This
And I think
spotless bride.
And I think it's as simple as them reconnecting the strands of DNA that are supposed to heal us. Like we literally heal ourselves. It's just some strands of DNA have been disconnected hundreds, maybe even thousands of years ago, which has caused us to have these sicknesses, diseases, and not live as long as we're supposed to live. And I think that has to do something with the DNA and the strands. Some kind of thing was disconnected.
Well, we know that we were spiritually disconnected when they changed our calendar, when they took us off of the 13-month, 28-day calendar. We're going back onto that calendar, by the way. And what I've been told is everything that was turned off when that happened, because we lost our connection to source, will be restored 100% within 12 months. So all the stuff they did to mess with our pineal gland and everything else, 100% restoration. I compare that to being on this crappy internet, and wait till you see what the speeds are with the quantum internet. There's no limit. It's equivalent to what's called black fiber, which is everywhere. So that's all coming off of the Starlink satellite, which is directly tapped into the quantum realm. That's why it's called quantum, the quantum financial system. It's not here in our 3D world, people. It operates in the fifth dimension. It's technology that's 588 million years old. It's a methyl. What's the word I'm looking for? Methyl. My tongue is dead this morning. Monolithic. Not monolithic. It's infinite. Okay. So there's nothing to limit what's going to take place. That's why when I wrote my white paper about XRP, Jesse, everybody's been fixated and brainwashed into talking about market cap. Well, market cap doesn't apply to XRP, 100% minted coin from inception, and it's not going to operate on this 3D world. That's why it only can do 1,500 transactions per second right now. Once we activate completely onto the quantum financial system, it will process transactions as fast as they need to be transacted. And I've already proven we can go over 100 quadrillion transactions per second for it to take care of the financial responsibilities of providing liquidity for every single transaction around the world, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, without ever running into an issue where it has to turn around and stop in the middle of a transaction and say, hey guys, am I bonded enough for this transaction? Do I have enough gold to back up my credibility to authorize this transaction? That isn't even a thing it ever has to worry about. We're covered all the way up until 2030 right now, based upon my calculations, with a quantum global liquidity requirement of $100 quadrillion, which when divided by 100 billion minted tokens for XRP gives XRP a $1 million price tag per token. And then it just simply goes up each year after that, because the economy is growing at 22.5% every 3.2 years. I've already calculated all this stuff. That calculation came from a clue that David Schwartz put out there with regards to the XRPL. It's already done. The information is known. Now what you have to do is get yourself ready. If you have foreign currencies or Zim bonds, you need to watch my videos on the price tags, what they're worth, what you have to say. There's a protocol guide that I put together. You can find it. It's pinned on my Twitter page, right at the top in my profile. It's 48 pages. It gives you a basic understanding of what's going to happen at the Redemption Center. Just download it. It's 65 to 80% correct. It can't be 100% correct because there's information they don't want us to know. Please understand that this is the greatest transfer of wealth we will ever see happen on the planet Earth. The greatest transfer of wealth in history. It will never happen again. And if you're still here and you're alive today, hallelujah and praise God, because you're part of it. You've been called to be here for this time. And I'm so thankful you are. I'm so thankful for Jesse and having opened up his platform. This is a man of God, people. This is what a man of God looks like. He's not running around showing you pictures of his Ferraris and his Lamborghinis. He's not wearing the gold chains and the gold rings and all the glitter. This is a man with a heart of gold. It's on the inside. And these are the people you want to associate with. These are the people you want in your life. Why? We care so much about you and the outcome for you in this situation that we have literally put our own lives on hold. We have sold out to the Lord to lean in and gain every single bit of revelation that we can to bring you his truth. And I will tell you, since I first came to Twitter, April 3rd, 2021, everything that he has shared with me and told me and had me post has been 100% correct. And I don't do this for my glory. Jesse doesn't do it for his glory. We do it for God's glory. We carry his banner and his banner alone, because we know at the end of the day, we could do nothing without him. You can do nothing without him. So come home, join the group, because if you don't, you won't go through the Redemption Center. He's made it very clear. I've already acknowledged that 35 to 50% of the population isn't going to be here. That's how President Trump can say homes and car prices are going to be lowered by 50%, because there's going to be empty homes. I just read today, Jesse, BlackRock is unloading all of its real estate at a loss.
Because they purchased it for above market value, because they were trying to buy everything up. So everything that someone was selling their house for $300,000, all of a sudden there was an offer for $4 million. And where did it come from? It came from some of these places like BlackRock. And so they were buying up all the houses for above market value. So other people couldn't buy these homes. Right.
Well, and what it means is in our economy, you've heard the term, we're going back to 1955 prices. What it means is that's the buying power. We're going to have more buying power as we go forward, because we're leaving the fiat currency system. That's dead. It's over. It stopped on December 31st, 2024. We're going into a 100% gold asset-backed currency standard. And I'll just touch upon this very quickly. That is different than where we had a gold standard back with Nixon. Okay. A gold standard was simply a pledge by the federal government, and really the Federal Reserve, which is not part of the government. It's a private corporation, where they were willing to guarantee losses for the country. And all that meant was they would turn around to the federal government and loan them whatever amount of money they needed by creating it out of thin air. Okay. In this new system, with President Trump having created the executive orders, 13818, 13848. Those two executive orders allowed him to confiscate and seize all of the assets for corporations, individuals, and countries that were nefarious and involved in election tampering. They went in and they seized all the assets of the Vatican. I just want you to think about this for a second. They found out that Obama gave the premier in Italy $400 million, access to the Vatican satellites. They then brought in a programmer who then moved all the votes during the 2020 election. That's why we saw those big swings. $400,000 went from Trump over to you know who. And we're like, wait a minute, what's going on? Well, they watched all that in the command center. The White Hats did, because all of the original ballots were blockchain identified. They had hidden code on the paper. The ballots that they brought in to change the election from China didn't have this watermark or this blockchain identifier because they didn't know about it. So they knew where the bad votes were. But here's the key. They allowed the election to happen and go through. Why? Number one, by doing so, they were now able to go in and steal, and I shouldn't say steal, I'm going to cancel that. They were able to go in and seize, under those executive orders, all the assets, Jesse, for all the nefarious organizations. So here's what they did. They took back control of every stock market exchange around the world. They took back control of every company listed on every exchange. BlackRock, State Street, Vanguard. They're all under White Hat Global Military Alliance control, along with Space Force Alliance. And they initiated their own AI algorithm to simulate the market. And what did the market do? It just went up, right? Well, why did it go up? Because they wanted to put back into the retirement accounts the value that had been stolen. That's why it's only the retirement accounts that are guaranteed onto the quantum financial system. That's why they're going to let everything in the normal equity accounts just burn to the ground. And when I say burn to the ground, don't think of it like the LA fires we're seeing right now. I'm not, discounting the fact that we could see a market meltdown in one day, and it's like they have to call it quits. We got to shut it down for a while. But the most important thing is they could turn it off and they have a value. Now, in your retirement account, you're not going to get what's in the retirement account. For example, let's say you have precious metals. You're going to get the value that's already watermarked, or I should say, carried over into your quantum access account. Why? Because you have to redeem the asset. So it's a voluntary redemption of those precious metals, because that's what's going to take place 30 days after Nasara. You'll be able to turn in your precious metals at the highest value, because then they're going to be reset. Gold's going to go down to 35 to 50 an ounce, silver $4 to $8. Why? Dave, why are you saying all these precious metals have to be revalued? It's very simple. They can't allow any element to think that they can take something that they've buried or hidden and they're going to be able to use it to come back for nefarious means. They're stopping private jets right now that are loaded with gold and silver, headed to private islands where they think they're going to hide out in bunkers and then rebuild their enterprises. Seized. The U.S. Treasury Department, under the New Republic, replaces all broker dealers in precious metals, Jesse. So all these people out there that are talking about selling gold and doing all this, they're being influenced by high commissions. And I'm not faulting these people, so don't read into it. They're just not aware. And if they are aware, they're choosing not to separate themselves from that element. And that's between them and God. But these broker dealers know that they don't have a business after Nasara starts, because the U.S. Treasury Department will set the daily rate, and it's no longer a tradable commodity because there's no markets. You won't trade in gold, silver, anything. You won't trade in digital assets. Why? What did Brad Garlinghouse say? Let's just talk about, people of influence that are making comments. Brad Garlinghouse says, oh, by the way, 99% of digital assets will be gone. 99% of digital assets will be gone. Well, the number's actually higher than that. There's only 8 that are going to survive. And those 8 are the ones that are ISO 222 compliant. So don't think if you're holding any other tokens, they're going to be worth anything. They're going to be a big fat zero. There's no market to trade them on. What are you going to do with your meme coin? What are you going to do with your NFT? NFTs were designed, and the way they're going to be used is they're going to be used as our way of having a personal record for our assets. That's how they're going to be kept track on our Quantum Access account. So we'll have a master NFT, and in it will be our house, our cars, artwork, things of great financial value. And why would they do that? because under the new tax system, remember, we don't have income tax anymore. All we have is a flat tax or consumption tax. That 14% has to be registered to all the goods that we buy, Jesse. How do we keep track of it? Does the person get to say, oh, I paid the 14%, so when I sell it to you, you don't have to pay it? No, they're not going to take somebody's word. They'll be able to go right to your account, your Quantum Access account. They'll look under your NFT history. Boom, there's your car. Okay, you paid the 14%, and it will keep track of up to 50 owners. So there's never an issue of whether or not the 14% was collected. See, now they let the NFTs become nefarious in how they're being used in the beginning, didn't they? People were paying what, $2 million for some little pixelated drawing? They were just letting them move money around so they could catch them. That's all that was. But the NFT as a non-fungible token will be used for our personal record for the assets that we own that are on the Quack account or our Quantum Access account. So what else, Jesse? That was a mouthful.
Someone was asking about what about recently deceased relatives and getting access to their quantum financial. The comment was way back there. I don't even know exactly how the question was, but do you kind of get the gist of the question?
Yeah, I understand the question because it even applies to me with my parents both passing away within the last 3 years. What happens to those finances? Well, God's initial revelation was that we'd be getting back everything going all the way back to Adam. And I've verified this with third parties. Now, as that is moving forward, it moves forward, it continues to move forward. I'm hearing, and again, this is a possibility, we don't have the final numbers yet, that it's very likely we're going to receive what our parents would have received. So it's being pushed up. That's why when they talk about the number of zeros on our accounts, it's beyond what we can think. See, we've been dumbed down. We have a very hard time thinking about billions, even trillions of dollars. Well, all of this is being paid for by the Asian elders and these historical asset trusts, Rodriguez Trust, St. Germain Trust, etc. The assets that have come forward to be redeemed, I mean, they had no idea that there were, 90-year historical funds that were out there that were loaded with X, Y, and Z. And since God put a storehouse on the earth, which was the Asian elders, they were the bankers to the bankers. They were the ones that privately loaned to over 300 financial entities all the money they wanted. And this is all found in a document called the Committee of 300. Jimmy Valley talked about it the other day, and it was something that was introduced into the valuation committee that was crucial for me being able to identify these large numbers because people were having a hard time understanding that XRP could be $1 million token. Well, first they failed to understand it wasn't $1 million token based upon the normal market way that digital assets are valued, which is market cap, meaning how much money people put into them. This was based on quantum global liquidity reserve requirements, which is nothing more than me saying, okay, Jesse, you're the one that's responsible for approving all the transactions for two parties, and you don't know anything about each party. But their first question to you is, Jesse, are you bonded? Do you have enough money behind you to guarantee that this transaction, if something goes wrong, that you're going to be able to make it right? That's what XRP is. That's what it does. So where does its backing come from? All of the money that is on the quantum financial system. And when I say all the money, it's only 10 to the 17th power. And I'm going to quantify this. Those two executive orders, 13818, 13848, the value of the assets that were seized from the Vatican tunnel, a tunnel going from the Vatican to Jerusalem, Vatican to Switzerland, Vatican to Buckingham Palace. And let's take out Buckingham Palace. Those assets there were the equivalent of 6 to the 26th power, 26 zeros. Wow. Does anybody even know the name of that? I had to look it up, and it doesn't do any good giving the name because we've never been taught it. But I will tell you this.
I just have to say something here quickly. So
sure.
I think we have around 800 people here live with us right now.
Wonderful.
We've got almost 500 people on our Rumble channel. It says Audio Script said, did anyone else notice the show just looped back to about 15 minutes ago? If you found there was a glitch in our Rumble, or if you're hearing this live right now, maybe if you're in Rumble, put a 1 in the comments. If you're hearing me right now, say this live because I'd like to see. And if once you're coming up on this and you hear it 15 minutes prior, put a 1, and then I'll know that you have been looped back to 15 minutes like audio script says here, because I've never heard that happen before. So
Interesting. Trying to cover over what we're talking about. But we'll make sure that that's fixed in post-production. But the important thing about that is for thousands and thousands and thousands of years, wealth has been accumulated by the Asian elders. They're the ones that are footing the full price of the meal. There isn't a government that's paying a dime for this. There isn't a dime of taxpayer money going in to create the quantum financial system. God set it up from day one. He made them his storehouse on earth. They're providing the equivalent of Proverbs 6:30-31, the sevenfold blessing. And in that scripture, and I'll paraphrase it, it says, don't worry about the thief that breaks into your house because he's hungry, but once he's caught or known, he has to return sevenfold, even if that includes his home. Well, Jesse, tell him what sevenfold really means, how it calculates out. You know this. 1 times 7 is 7. 7 times 7 is 49. 49 times 7 is 343. All the way through the seventh generation, it's $823,543. That's starting with $1 that was stolen. Now God is saying we're going all the way back to Adam, and we're coming forward. And what I've been told is we're getting the full restoration of even our birth certificate money, and that's a completely separate discussion. Birth certificates, Social Security cards, high school diploma, college degree, advanced degrees, professional designations, doctors, lawyers, CPAs, financial planners, nurses, you name it. If you've got an extra 3 letters after your name, they sold you as a bond, and all that money is coming back. So that is a tremendous hallelujah moment. And they did it to all of us. Why? Because when Nixon took us off the gold standard in 1971, right after his meeting in Camp David in the first part of August, in a prior video I said April, but in my head I said August, he declared that we were going off the gold standard, which was their promise to have the gold. They didn't have the gold because they wasted it all. They couldn't pay back the Asian elders the debt, so they had to release themselves off the gold standard and went on to what was called a fractionalized fiat currency standard. Well, that's really easy to see, and I want you all to do this today. Take a $1 bill, look at it, and you'll see that it says in the lower left-hand corner, Treasurer of the United States. It's all one word. It's the only real money the U.S. ever had. On the $2 bill, half of the words are separated, and when you finally get to the 5 to the 100, they're all separated with a space in between, and that means it's all fractionalized. So you take $1, you put it over the higher denomination, and it gives you a value. So 1 over 100 is a penny. They paid back the Asian elders at 1 penny per $100 that they borrowed. And that's why we stayed off of the gold standard ever since. So they took our dollar and it depreciated all the way down to 5 cents. Well, what does it mean when we go back to a gold asset-backed currency standard, Jesse? A multiple of 20 times. So what happens to the value of gold on the quantum financial system? It's worth 20 times more per ounce. Does that mean it's worth 20 times more in the wholesale market, Dave? No, it doesn't. And that's where all these talking heads are telling you gold's going to this, gold's going to that, silver's going to this. It's not going to happen. They're trying to
pump and dump.
Well, yeah, exactly. Because why? They're out of business. They got to get rid of inventory. They got to sell it. So you got people selling gold that's coming back in. They got to get it out. They get the social influencers going after 10 to 20% commissions to put it all over their page to direct you to go buy the gold. So, I don't have anything personally against anybody, but you're acting like a money changer. You're like the Sadducees outside the temple gate saying, oh, you know what? Your offering isn't good enough that you paid, you bought down on the street. You got to buy the offering that we're selling. And here it is right here, because that's the only acceptable offer to the Lord. No, that's why Jesus turned over the tables. Those were the Sadducees and the Pharisees businesses that were being operated right before you went into the temple, not the ones that were down on the street. So again, we see a lot of stuff come through, even on the debt clock posts about the money changers. They're money changers. Might want to not be a money changer. Might change your outcome. Something to consider. So if you have gold right now, physical gold, there will be an opportunity to turn it in, to redeem it at these higher values. If you decide not to, that's on you. But if it were me, I would liquidate my gold. This is not a financial recommendation. This is just me giving you my personal opinion on what I would do. I would liquidate it, turn it back into cash, deposit it into my bank account so I know it's 100% recorded onto my Quantum Access account. Any physical gold or precious metals that you hold right now, nobody knows you have them. Nobody cares. It's not on the quantum financial system, mirrored onto your Quantum Access account. Something to consider. So I'll leave it there.
And I'm on the opposite side. Like, I have gold and silver that I won't turn in, right? I'm not sure how things are going to go. And if it goes down to, nothing, $5, $20, that's fine. I still would like to have that gold and silver, to have those metals, for purpose.
Well, I'm not saying, Jesse, that you won't have an opportunity to sell it at the higher price. So let's make sure we're clear on that. God said that there will be an opportunity. There'll be a number of days that the Treasury will give people to turn it in at $2,700 an ounce, silver at $33 an ounce. But if you choose not to and you keep it, like I got some stuff I want to keep. I got a beautiful 5-ounce silver proof Tree of Life coin. It has more value for me just to have the coin than the value of the silver. But, again, I've got a whole bunch of old US currency in silver. There's certain pieces I'm going to keep. Why? Because they have monetary value that's beyond the silver. They're air coins. There's defects with the coins. So, I'm not saying, I'm not negative about holding it. I'm just saying if you bought it because you listened to these talking heads saying it's going to, gold's going to go to $50,000 an ounce, you might want to rethink that. But be aware that you're going to get an opportunity to dispose of it. And one of the best clues that I received was when the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe posted their new ZIG currency. They gave an exchange for gold, and they pegged gold at $2,500 an ounce. That hasn't changed. So $2,500 an ounce, somewhere in that range, and you have 5 days to turn it in, you'll be fine. If you choose to keep it after that, and the gold price now is reset at 35 to 50, you can turn around and have your own gold coins minted if you choose to. You'll take it to a facility that's approved. They'll melt it down. They'll assay it. They'll tell you how much it's worth, and you'll get to print your own gold coin at whatever the face value is on that coin relates to the amount of gold that's in the coin. So it's not a negative, so there are definitely things that you want to keep. So I just want to make that point.
Yeah, I get that. So I think what David is saying is that a lot of people were, convinced by some of these social media influencers to buy a lot of gold and silver. And if you, feel what David is saying here, that gold is, you took your, 1,000, 10,000, 50,000, bought a bunch of gold and silver, thinking it's going to go through the roof, when it potentially may not. So you may lose, a big chunk of the value of it if you don't sell it at a higher value. And I think that that's what he's saying. If, you want to keep it, right? That's, totally your choice. He just wants to present people with this information that he feels that it's going to be revalued at a much lower, and he doesn't want people to be like, oh, I got, duped into buying this. I bought a whole bunch of gold and silver, and now, it's not worth what it was worth. So he just wants it off his conscience that he feels that this is going to be revalued, and it's up to you what you do with it. You can, go with what he says, or you can keep it. That's, totally up to you. But at least if you're, privy to this information, you can do what you feel is best right for yourself during this. Everybody's presenting information. You just feel what's best in alignment with you and make the best choices for you and your life. Just because one person says it, you need to feel in your heart, so that way you don't go back if things don't work out the way someone says, well, he told me that, I should go do that. Well, no, you just listen to everybody's. That's why we present everybody's information on here, and whatever you choose to do with that information, it's not, oh, I followed him and he was wrong. Well, no, you followed your heart. And if your heart told you to follow someone, that's you, that's, ultimately responsible. So whatever happens during, this next, 3 months, 6 months, a year, you're making the decision with all the information presented, and the onus is on you to make that decision yourself. Don't trust anybody's information. Trust what you feel is best for you and your family, and do that. And hopefully, you're guided in the right way.
Right. And let me just make one other qualification here, Jesse, for a point. All the gold that they needed to backstop the quantum financial system, it's already there. They have enough gold to take care of the financial global requirement for the next 400 years. That's already taken care of with all the gold that they seized. All of the retail gold, and we're talking just retail gold, that's what gets re-indexed down to become a wholesale commodity. That's the gold that's going to function in society for making computers, jewelry, watches, things like this. We're going to find out about De Beers diamonds, and that's going to be exposed. They're making lab-created diamonds right now that are better than those diamonds, more clarity, stronger, etc. So
And
there's
who
going to be a
knows
lot.
who knows how long they've been creating these lab-created diamonds, selling them as real diamonds to people, thinking that they're real. Because I think this lab-created diamond stuff has been going on for a lot longer than they've been telling us.
Yes. And this is beyond Mosinite. It's pretty fantastic. But see, here's another point to consider. I don't know if you've ever heard of Terrence Howard. Okay. Hustle and Flow, right? He's already come out and identified the fact that there will come a point when we will be able to create our own gold. They know the base elements required. And then it's just, Jesse, what's the frequency? Once you dial the frequency in, those base elements turn into gold. Just like that.
Same with diamonds. It's just pressurized coal. That's where diamonds come from, is pressurized coal. And it's interesting what Lee the Underdog says. Silver is what you want. Water, oil, and gold are endless. They've been mining gold. There's stockpiles of gold. There's so much gold out there. But someone earlier said silver is a lot more scarce than some of these other things, some of these other metals.
This is what we know. Everything and anything that we ever needed, God already knew about, and he put here. So to say silver is scarce, we can't say it, because whatever we needed, whatever the world needed, God put it here in abundance. We're just not aware of it.
I think less abundant would maybe be a better way to say it.
I would just say less known about. Okay. I mean, silver had its place in history, and maybe there wasn't a need for as much of it as what God had already known. But it doesn't change its value, because it's all about how it's used. Now, one thing we do know, that with computers and things in the future, they're probably going to run on crystals, not silver. I mean, I have a hard time finding any silver in my computers. So, where is its importance? We don't know yet. We're going to be taught that. We'll come to find out. But there isn't anything that God didn't already prepare us for. So we can take that right out of our mind. That's come from man to create fear. So people will FOMO in and FOMO out. So, oh my gosh, silver's so scarce. We better get it now. It's going to $1,200. It's going to $30,000 an ounce. No, it's not. $4 to $8. Why? Because you can't be out there buying it. Organizations and nefarious people can't be out there buying it and storing it in unknown places to come back and bring evil back into the world. It's not allowed. And they're making sure of it. That's why it's all safe and secure. That's why 650 plus cargo planes and 9 cargo ships full of gold have been coming back to return everything that has been stolen and hidden. The Vatican is empty. They've taken out every artifact. They've flown it back. It's secure. It's in underground facilities. It's guarded by the White Hat Global Military Alliance, Galactic Federation, Space Alliance.
What about the library in the Vatican Library?
Yes, emptied. They're bankrupt. Matter of fact, I just posted a video just yesterday with some little tidbits from Scott McKay. Go watch that one. It's called You'll Be Shocked. He actually had a conversation with somebody who is part of the internal advisorship group for President Trump that told him specific things. Well, many things he talks about are things that I've been talking about. So it's just third-party confirmation. But some of them had to do with, some of these things. So it's not like we're going to leave them with a little bit. No, 711 missing books of the Bible were retrieved, and they're already being made for publication, and we're all going to get a free copy. There were 777 books in the Bible to begin with. The Vatican decided we could only have 66. Well, we're going to find out a whole lot of stuff. So religion won't have a place in the world anymore. We're going to all come to know Source, the Father, God, whatever you want to call him. It'll be your personal journey. But it's going to be wonderful, because his new system is all based on love. The foundation is love. So he told me, foundation is love, language is love, currency is love, and the return is love. You won't be paid any interest on your money sitting in your Quantum Access account on the QFS. When they throw the switch, if you had precious metals in your retirement account, that gold or whatever that precious metal was is going right to the U.S. Treasury Department. You're getting the rainbow currency value onto your quantum access account. So you get credit for the monetary value. They get the physical asset. That brokerage, whoever is holding it, isn't going to call you up and say, well, Dave, where do you want us to deliver your gold? Could you imagine that fiasco? No, they get the asset. You get the value. So I see somebody making a comment. Thank you, Franco60. Go over to my Rumble page. It's down there right at the bottom. The DavidXRPLion Show. Lots of great videos. And we're not talking about videos that, get 1,000 or 2,000 views. Jesse and I have some of the highest viewed video episodes on there. Why? Because we speak the truth. We're giving you the information that is most applicable at the time. And I've said this more than once. Jesse and I don't do this for our accolades. We do it for the Father, that he's glorified. He brings the truth. He brings the revelation. Our job is to be the one to be the messenger or the disseminator of that information, not to try to get you to, what's the word I want to use, Jesse? Buy into it, because you don't have to. But just so you have a chance to view it, to see it, to be made aware of it. Because at the end of the day, it's when you get to that redemption center, it's between you and God at that point. They're doing a scan on every person. And I remember when I was on the Charlie Ward show, Charlie comes into the green room and he says, guys, I'm so excited. I just learned something. You're not going to believe it. Oil is not from fossil fuel, from fossils, from dinosaurs. It's actually from, like plants and things like that. And it's self-renewing. And he turns to Susan Price, who is the wonderful lady, five-star gold mother that brought me on the show, and says, Susan, what are we going to talk about today? And she goes, Susan, Dave's going to talk about the Redemption Center. And all of a sudden the Holy Spirit drops in and Charlie goes, oh my gosh. I'm getting chills right now just saying this. We have to present ourselves to be redeemed. It's not just about currencies and bonds, is it? And Charlie answers his own question and goes, no, it's not, guys. We have to be right with God, don't we? And we do. We have to make sure our hearts are pure. And what does that mean, Dave? It means we haven't picked up any resentment. We don't harbor ill will towards other people. And the Lord told me 2 years ago, he says, Dave, just watch, prepare everybody. In these last days, the minions, the people closest to them, are going to attack them. They're going to come at them. People making 180-degree change. And you could have been friends with them for 20 years. And the next thing, they're just basically telling everybody you're the devil. And they're trying to get you to pick up a fence. Well, what is a fence? It's the smallest infraction that separates us from God. And if you need to understand this, go find the book called The Bait of Satan by John Bevere.
Bait of Satan?
The Bait of Satan. It's the absolute simplest and best book I've ever read, and it breaks it down. It's been one of his best strategies. Why? Because if we pick up offense because of, someone attacking us and making false claims and slandering us, then we've been separated from God. That's a disqualifier right there to get through the Redemption Center. That's why the money's on the backside. You don't get to go and exchange your Zim bonds and your currencies and then get all your redemption money. And then they say, oh, are you a good person? No, you have to pass the test first. And all the people that don't pass the test, 35 to 50% of the population, all their assets go into the pool and get distributed amongst all the people that remain. And it's not an easy thing to do. I've had people coming after me for the last 6 months like you would not believe. But what do? I cover it with love, I put it down, and I keep my heart pure. Why? Because it's not up to me to battle it. That's what our Father does. He takes care of the battles. He's our protector. He's our provider. But if you don't let him do it, that's where you make the mistake. And what happened to Joshua and Caleb when they thought they could get out in front of the Lord and fight their own battles? They got their butts whipped. And God said, hey, did I tell you to do that? I'm like, well, no, we just thought. And God said, well, you get what you get. I'm your protector. I'm the one that advises you on what to do. Just because I have you all armored up and I bring you to the battle site doesn't mean you're going to do the fighting. Just watch what I do. How many times did he do that, Jesse? And then the enemy just basically killed themselves. So this is a very, very critical time for all of us right now. We have to be on guard. We have to understand it's happening all around us. If it hasn't happened to you yet, praise God, you're aware of this right now, and you're going to be ready. So you won't get angry. You won't lash out. You're going to cover it with love. You're going to separate yourself from them, and you're not going to think about it ever again because God's going to take care of it.
We had earlier a friend of ours on our Facebook, Mark Link, said, what is the Redemption Center? So I don't think he may have seen any of the previous interviews. And
let's cover that.
I believe he's in the UK, but and then someone else asked way earlier, how do I make my appointment? So maybe you can answer that all in one.
Okay, well, here's what's going to happen. There's going to be an emergency broadcasting alert that goes out. It's going to come from one of 3 facilities. Primarily, the signal will come from Starlink. It will hit every single phone on the planet at the same time. And whether that phone is off, charged, dead battery, that phone will go off, and it will provide you with the information as to what you're supposed to do. That information is going to tell you have 3 to 5 hours to get home. And when you get home, you're to stay home. You're to stay indoors. And this is for our own protection. During this time, they're going to initiate a 10-day window for what they're calling 10 days of disclosure, which will amount to 3 8-hour programming sessions every single day for 10 hours using analog tape to play tribunals and provide other information that we need to be aware of. There'll be an additional 3 days where we'll be given information of some of the extra galactic help that we've been receiving and what that means. Then we're going to be provided with information on what we do next. So first thing is you're going to need to make sure you have at least 3 to 4 weeks worth of food and probably, some good water. Make sure you have a nice expandable folding cart, like a soccer cart in the back of your car. You know who's going to be responsible for going to the store to get groceries if you don't already have yourself supplied, and have your own bags. Why? Imagine 3,000 people descending on your local Walmart. They're going to run out of carts. They're not going to have any plastic bags. You can't walk out without paying. And I'm not saying you can't, don't, okay? Have small bills, $20 bills, $10 bills. If your charge is $343, put in, and all you got is 20s, put in $360. Don't expect any change. You want to do the right thing and make sure that you pay for it, and then you're going to walk out the store with everything that you purchased. You're not going to be trying to walk around like this holding stuff and it's falling all over the floor. So again, preparation is key. You are going to be the ones that are going to remain calm to help other people that are starting to spin out because they won't know what's going on. Don't try to educate people in the moment. Just try to be calm yourself and help other people if possible. Okay. Once you get that EBS announcement, we get through the 13 days, we're going to be told that we're going to receive an 800 number. That's our own personal number. And we're going to call into a regional call center. We're then going to be directed based upon where we are at that moment. So for example, if you lived in California and now you're in Arizona, you're going to tell them where you are in Arizona, the area code or the zip code. They're going to schedule your appointment at what's called a regional call center. This is where you have to redeem yourself. So you have to appear by yourself for yourself. And by doing so, you'll present your Zim bonds, your currencies. That's where all the exchanges and the redemptions will take place, as well as you getting everything for the new financial system. You're going to get a Q phone. You're going to get a Q computer. Why? The old system is no longer working. It doesn't work anymore. Shut off. You're going to get a debit card. You're going to get an access card. I'm hearing you may or may not get rainbow currency. You'll bring any extra fiat, any fiat currency that you have, and they'll provide us with the limit. It could be 0 or it could be up to $5,000, where it'll then be credited onto your account. But by the time you leave, you will have been fully integrated into the system. You'll be given the tools. They'll give you checks. You'll be able to ask for letters of credit or funds available letters, so you can buy things. You can use these to take to a real estate agent. You can use these to provide others with information about your credit worthiness if you're acquiring a new car, etc. We may be instructed that there's limits on how many cars and how many houses we can acquire within a certain period of time, so there's no holding. Okay, that's great point. Great point. If you have Zim bonds, you will be required to go to a redemption center. So don't listen to these people talking about going to banks. Okay, the banks were to deal with a completely different group of currency and bondholders. We, as the general public, and let's please drop this tier 4B nonsense. Okay, it doesn't matter whether you know or not. Okay, 99% of the public doesn't know. So when they go to the redemption center, they're going to go right through super fast because they don't have any Zim bonds. They don't have any currencies to exchange. Dinar, Bolivar, Dong, etc. So just be aware that there's things going on. And again, if you go to my site and Twitter in the profile page, you'll see the link to download the Redemption Center protocol guide. Gosh, I can't tell you how many hundreds of hours I spent putting all that stuff together with videos. It's a 48-page guide that gives you the information you need so you're prepared. See, there's scripts. There are ways that you have to talk to them. You're not going to be able to walk in and say, hey, what are you paying for the dinar? They're going to give you the lowest possible rate. Why? Because you just told them you don't know anything about it. Now, once you read the scripts, you'll understand there's a process. You're going to ask for the rate. You're going to thank them. You're going to be polite. And you're going to ask them for the special, or you want the higher of the special or contract rate. Oh, we're dealing with somebody that understands the contract rate. Once you do that, they have to give you the higher rate. On the dinar, I've got it as high as $28.50. On the dong, somewhere between $12 and $17.50. Bolivar, I'm hearing we could be at 83 cents right now. In a Zim bond, I've got information that says they're going to pay 1-to-1 on the first two, and then 25 million for the next series of $100 trillion notes up to a total of 30. That's if you have a trust or have completed the humanitarian initiative template. By doing so, they give you a temporary template or a temporary trust at the end, which then will give you instructions to go to a legal entity that will prepare your final trust documents. So don't think that the humanitarian initiative template, trust template, is a legal document. No, it's your proof that says, I want to be a humanitarian. And I will tell you this, the humanitarians are right now the largest employer group coming into our new economy. They will be hiring more people than anybody. We want to have a stock market. We're going to be working towards those humanitarian efforts. Jesse is he's going to be the father of greenhouses all over Canada, and all the techniques to deliver healthy foods. Okay, so he's going to be like the Jolly Green Grocer up there. I'm excited about what he's doing. I want to take what he's doing and then transplant it down here through him. But again, it's open for everybody. I've even got the template for the Humanitarian Initiative Trust on there with training videos. It's 99% done. It takes you about a half an hour if you want to struggle with it. It's all ready to go. You just fill it in, right, Jesse? It's not that hard. It's not that hard. But see, here's the difference. They didn't want anybody to know about this stuff. They wanted people walking in with their currencies, which are going to be exchanged. They wanted people walking in with their Zim bonds, not knowing about these higher rates, and just hand them over, get a little tiny fee for exchanging them, and then picking where they wanted to donate the rest of it towards the national humanitarian projects. Well, I'm saying, why not you? God's put something into your heart that you want to do for humanity. Why not you? So I've got plenty of videos on that. Jesse and I've covered it in other shows. So if God's been, pressing on you to do something for humanity, that's how you do it. And that's how you keep 100% of the funds. 20% of it roughly will be given to you personally. You can do whatever you want with it. The remaining 80% has to go into what's called structured payout. You want to select 100 years, which is the longest term. And you're going to select the annual payout, which means once a year, you're going to get 1/100th of your plan. I did a whole video presentation where I did all of the math and I proved the math based upon the reserve rates coming from the Bank of Zimbabwe. And I came up with $1.37 trillion for one $100 trillion bond at the Redemption Center over 100 years. So do the math. What's 1/100th of $1.37 trillion? Divided by 12. That's how much money you would literally have available for humanitarian project and to be able to put into other projects. I'm seeding into Jesse's program. This is the first time I've told him that, but I'm going to be one of his biggest contributors to partner with him in his projects. See,
and we're just building templates so that way people can do this everywhere. We want to feed the world, basically. So we're creating the template so we can have these greenhouses by every big major city in the world. So that way it's not reliant on the shipping supplies to feed. We want to be able to have good, nutritious food that doesn't need to be transported anywhere, can come right off, get processed, and then, get into people's bellies without any pesticides, preservatives, any of the nasty toxic chemicals that we're being bombarded with today.
Well, listen to this. And I know I shared this with Jesse before. I got to figure out how to point the other way. I shared with Jesse that there's technology out there right now, and I'm part of a group that is going to be doing all this stuff. It has a process, an application that can be put onto, say, plants, and the plant retains and is able to absorb so much more of its nutrients that, let's just say that you were growing a pumpkin. So you plant a pumpkin seed, and that is going to turn into a vine and it's going to produce, let's just say, 20 pumpkins. This process that is an application that can go on, and 1 gallon of it can service an entire acre of agriculture. That one pumpkin seed now has 140 pumpkins instead of 20. That's what we're talking about here with what Jesse's going to be doing with the plants and things like that. Now, what did God say? The return is love, right? The money is love. He's provided the resource to go into projects around the world, because what's the return? It's love. It's priceless. You can't put a price tag on that. So we're no longer under this system that looks to try to create money by taking it from other people. See, that was the difference. Wall Street, it's a zero-sum game. One person wins, one person loses. And as I pointed out on James's show, you can win. And I was a professional trader full time for almost 30 years. 99% of 99 trades out of 100 you win. It's the 100th trade where you lose it all. We're talking about a system where you can't lose. God's directing you. He's providing you with that information. See, we're not doing this alone. We're partnering with him. He provides the resource. It's not wealth. We didn't earn it. We can't call it wealth. It's a resource. And we're to be great stewards of it. And that doesn't, and this is how I put it. He says, Dave, I'm declaring that you and everybody else are to be great stewards of the resources I'm entrusting you with. Why? Because good is now the enemy to his great. And how can he require that or ask us of that? Because now he's brought heaven to earth and we're working directly with him. He's there for us to lean on. He already knows the plan. He already knows exactly what's going to happen before we can even imagine it. Who doesn't want that plan? I mean, tell me about it. It's like, is anybody tired of pushing the stone up the hill to then turn and look the other way? And now you just got crushed by it as it rolled over you. And now you got to go start again. That was the enemy's plan. We're done with that plan, people. That one's over. We're stepping into God's quantum financial system, his economic economy, where he's eradicated all of evil. And you guys are going to come to find out that evil has been eradicated. Rothschilds, all of this stuff, all this nefarious element, gone. Anybody ever think why all these CEOs are resigning? Just yesterday, the CEO of Hershey finally resigned. What was going on with Hershey? Now it's like, what were they putting in the chocolate? Got me interested.
Sugar.
But they're dropping like flies.
Sugar is poison. All this shit is poison. Coca-Cola is poison. PepsiCo poison. These are all poisoning. This is what's been poisoning humanity. This hasn't been helping in any way.
Well, the attempt was to change our DNA so we were unrecognizable to God. Because did you know? Well, I know you know, Jesse, but for the viewership, the name of God is imprinted into our DNA. YHWH. They've already proven it. And there are scientists out there, and you can go look this up. There's videos on it. They figured out how to activate it, and it's the breath of God. They tried everything. And when they put that sound in, it started moving. I mean, it's incredible. But see, that's what they were doing with all this other mRNA and all this other stuff, trying to hijack our DNA. Well, some stuff I can't fully talk about, but I can briefly mention it, is God gave me an equation with regards to the Fibonacci ratio for the golden mean. And I was able to determine by error, because he caused me to make the error, that there is a continual harmonious sound that comes from a certain numerical representation for the golden ratio. And that's 0.61 or 0.618, 0.382. There are more digits that go to the right, and he showed me what those digits are. So you know how DNA turns, Jesse, where it goes from, going low to up like a sound wave? Well, now I have a continual sound wave that's infinite, and it swaps. So the moment it turns up, what was the number sequence for 0.382 now becomes 0.618. And then the bottom one becomes 382. And then it just runs for a certain number of digits. And it just keeps going and it keeps going. And I said, well, Lord, what is that? This kind of plays into what we're talking about. He said, Dave, that's the healing harmonic. And I picked this up from Terrence Howard. He said that when the right frequency is received by the DNA actually expands, and it pushes out all the errors in the DNA. it pushes out the errors. So think about all the DNA that's been hijacked. That's full of errors. Now imagine that tone being part of the medbed technology. And I haven't shown anybody the full mathematics on it yet. Imagine that being played, and all of a sudden the DNA just goes, excuse my French, crap, get out. And it just starts expanding the DNA, and all that garbage is just gone. Just, ooh, just gives me chills. Gives me chills. But see, I didn't know when he gave it to me what it was all about. And he said, Dave, that's for another time. That's for another time. Like, 3/4 of the stuff that he gives me, we're working on something, imagine yourself floating down a river, and all of a sudden, someone's throwing you baseballs and you catch a baseball, and you're like, well, what do I do with the others? Just put them in the bottom of the boat. Just put them in the bottom of the boat. We're not going to deal with them yet. They're for later. So there's a whole lot of stuff to deal with once we get through all the stuff and different mathematical equations. We wrote a new mathematical equation to replace the Einstein's theory of relativity, and that had to do with XRP going into the quantum realm. So now we've made the theory of relativity, and we've made it suitable for quantum, because in the quantum realm, which is the fifth dimension, it's like God. It already knows what we need before we ask it. So it looks back in time into the third dimension to see what is it you need. So it creates what's needed. And that's what we found out right before I posted my first white paper, when I was in that third valuation committee with Jimmy Belly. I said, Jimmy, I've got a problem because I'm being limited by Einstein's theory of relativity. I need to push 100 quadrillion transactions per second through the QFS. And I know I can. And 2 days later, 3 gentlemen win the Nobel Peace Prize in physics for having proved that whatever's needed in the whatever's needed in the third dimension, the fifth dimension already knew it and made whatever adjustments were necessary. So the moment it was needed, it was available.
Already there.
And
this is a call out to Terrence Howard. We definitely would like to interview you on our show if you're listening.
I want to be on the show with you when you do that.
If anybody knows him or knows of him, knows how to contact him, let him know that we'd love to have him here on the show. Santa Claus 999 from our Rumble channel says, what if during the EBS my dog has to go to the bathroom outside? Will we be able to go in my yard so he can relieve himself?
Well, do it in the backyard.
Yeah, I think what he's saying is, like, stay around your house. Don't be roaming the streets. Don't be, looked upon as you may be part of this criminal element is what they're looking to pick up, right? So just be wise during this time. You're not restricted to your house, but, you just don't want to be caught thinking that you might be a nefarious element during this time.
Well, they'll be doing sweeps. The military will be driving through. The local law enforcement will be driving through. And if you're outside, you will be picked up. And there's no guarantee that you're going to be returned. And I don't think it can be any clearer than that. They'll provide more information on that. But again, this is like a preparedness announcement. Just be prepared. Don't be kumbayaing it over in your neighbor's garage across the street. Stay indoors, because there's things they're going to be doing you're not supposed to see, and you don't want to see it. If 35 to 50% of the population isn't going to be here, there are ways they're going to leave without being, picked up and put in a vehicle. That's where the Galactic Federation and Space Alliance come into place. Just know, they know every single thing you're thinking right now, every single thing that you talk about. It's all being transcribed and recorded and put into a record, a permanent record. There's nothing they don't already know. Once the Schumann resonance started back up, the engine of the world, at that moment, this is what God said. At this moment, I had begun to scan hearts. We are a divining rod right now. They know everything that's going on. Why? Because we're transmitting it. We're like a little radio station. How many people are noticing you're on the telephone and all of a sudden your call gets disconnected? Raise your hand. It's because they're listening in on conversations.
Well, I hear it. I hear it sometimes echo, and you can hear right away. I know, and I'm like, Angeline. I'm like, let me call you back. I'm hearing this echo. I can tell when someone's coming in, and you can hear that echo. Well, that when that there's something happening, right?
Well, and when they switch off, it cuts the call. Now, before when they would listen in, you might hear a little click or something like that. But now when they disconnect, it's coming from a higher source. It just cuts the call. Then you have to make the call again. So I always suggest if you're a good guy, just say, hey, I'm a good guy. we're just having a friendly conversation here. You got nothing to worry about with us, and nothing happens. They don't even key in on it. So, okay, what are we seeing here?
The other one was, what do we wear to the redemption center? Do I need to be wearing a suit? And some people were saying treat it as an interview. And, then also someone was asking about, is there any other currencies besides the Zim to redeem at the redemption center?
Well, let me break it down. The first basket is the dinar, the dong, the bolivar, and I think there might be one other included. It's not top on my priority. So those are the most valuable. Let's put it that way: dinar, dong, and bolivar. Okay. Then there's the Zim bond. It's a bond. The Zim is not a currency. And let me qualify that. When they issued the Zim, it was a bond which was to be collateralized by land. The dictator that was in charge, generations of family members ruled their country, never attached the land. It didn't change the fact that it was a bond to begin with. And there's been a lot of people out there trying to provide disinformation so people wouldn't acquire them. That's what that was all about. The Zim bond next to XRP is the biggest secret out there. I mean, the moment that I disclosed the pricing information that I came out with, no one had ever done that ever. And I came under attack, trying to discredit me. They slandered me. They did everything possible to try to shut me up and push me back. Well, the problem was they don't know who my dad is. And they didn't realize that I did all this on his instruction. So he took care of them. So there's no concern there. The important thing was he already knows who has this in their heart and wants to do it. So it didn't matter. The important thing is, if it is in your heart, just know that the Zim is a bond. In the Asian elders, and I found a cabal document going back to 2015 where they agreed to acquire all the assets above the ground, and they agreed to pay the full redemption on the Zim bond, the full redemption. So we heard very shortly after, there was a video that came out where a group came forward and said, oh, we've been told to contact everybody that is renting their home in Zimbabwe and let them know that the country has given them the home and the land. And the reporter in the video, Jesse, he just can't believe it. He keeps asking him, is this true? Is this true? No, you're making this up. And the guy's like, why would I make it up? I'm part of the 5-person team that is responsible for disseminating this information and doing the conversion for everybody. So this came out right away, right after the ZIG was announced on April 5th of 2024. That's when they told us that they had a gold-backed currency. And I had been waiting for that because that was the last shoe to drop with regards to the announcement as to what the rate was. And based upon the rate that they used for their in-country rate, I was able to determine the contract rate. And that rate is considerably higher for us when we redeem our Zim bonds. But again, you have the choice to either be one that has a trust or has the template completed, or if you don't, you get a small, what's called the default rate. And that's just a way to say thank you for redeeming your Zim bond. And then they'll say, well, we have these 15 or 20 initiatives for the United States. Where would you like the remainder of the redemption on the Zim bond to go to? So you'll get a pat on the back and a thank you for that. But if you want to be a humanitarian, you'll control all of it. And that's really where the blessing comes, because that's part of that Abrahamic blessing. Be a blessing to everybody.
Here's an important question here from Janet. What if someone works as an RN nurse? Should they stay at home when the EBS is active during the 10 days? Are all essential workers like police, firefighters, nurses must stay at home during the EBS, and how it works? And then also Rowan from a Rumble says, Dave, my autistic son, he follows a rigid routine every 24 hours. He wants to be driven to McDee's. He won't understand. He can't go out for a drive.
Well, let's address the first question. When the emergency alert goes off and you receive it on your phone, you're to follow its instructions. You will be notified if you are to go to work. The military is already prepared to take over all medical facilities and to take care of everybody medically. The police have been trained and they know exactly what their responsibilities are with regards to this. So they'll be told what they're to do. But primarily, the majority of the people will be told to go home, stay home. Now, for a special needs situation with regards to this person's son needing a particular food item, I would suggest buying it and freezing it if it's going to cause trauma.
When I used to eat meat, and after I inherited my buddy's 3 kids after he had passed on, and I promised I'd help look out for his family, they had Dairy Queen, and they had days where there were these 59-cent burger days, and so normally that they were like $1.59, then sometimes they went to 99 cents, or they went to 59 cents. When they went to 59 cents, I actually bought like 30 of them. I'm like, can I get to what? Well, sometimes I wanted 50, and they're like, we can't do 50. So I would order 30, and then I'd go back around the drive-thru and I'd order another 30. And so then, I would have some certain things, so they knew it was me again. And then I would just stick them in the freezer. And when the kids came home from school or whenever they needed, they just took out a burger. And at the time we were still using microwaves, but they could microwave the burger. Obviously it's been many years since I've used microwaves now, but they would pop one into the microwave and they'd always have burgers. They would always have food. There would be like, and my buddy and, his girl, they weren't constantly having food for the kids. So I always made sure that there was tons of food, that all the pantries are always full, that there was always food for them, because they went from a point where they didn't have a lot of food to having an overabundance of it. Right. And so, like we'd have 60 burgers frozen, as we'd dwindled, we'd go back, wait for that 59-cent day and get another 60 burgers. And so that's kind of how we did that when, because it was, I calculated it out, and it actually, if I would have bought the burgers, bought the buns, bought all the condiments, it actually worked to relatively the exact same amount as that 59 cents. And so it was just easier. It was already pre-cooked, pre-packaged, pre-made, and just ready to go for the kids at any time. So that's something that we did.
Or the other side is save a bunch of wrappers, cook the food, wrap it up in the wrapper, and say, oh, look, here it is.
And I suggest McDonald's isn't the best place to be feeding your child. I know maybe there's habits and things like that. You could possibly, like David said, is, save some of those, wrappers, put it into the packages, make it like, it is coming from McDonald's, but make sure it's more nutritious, because they're very, very low on the nutrition level. And there's even been reports of even human DNA in McDonald's food and stuff. So I would be, skeptical of feeding anyone. I wouldn't even, they've showed a bear. Somebody was giving some McDonald's burger to a bear, and a bear, which basically would eat anything. Smith, and he's trying to force this McDonald's burger into this bear's mouth, and the bear's like going like, I don't want anything to do with it. So I would just, be very, very skeptical about, feeding fast food, especially McDonald's is definitely rated as, one of missing kids. They feed it back to people through fast food, and McDonald's has been one of those chains that have been reported. Like you could check recently, as in 2019 in Japan, someone found a human tooth in one of the McDonald's. Like that's in Japan,
how many times did you bit into something that was hard? Chances are it's a tooth or bone. So, but they're on their way out. They're already removing them completely, so they won't be around in the future. A lot of stuff won't be around.
Interesting comment, DavidXRP. I would make baby food and put the baby food in jars for my children. When there was that big formula shortage, baby formula, there's shortage of baby food, baby formula shortage. And I actually saw that as a good thing, because what is in that baby formula? It's genetically modified, soy and, the shit milk and things, whatever they put into it is not healthy ingredients and stuff you shouldn't be feeding your kids anyways. You should be mashing up bananas, mashing up vegetables, putting it in. You could freeze it, you can put it in jars, you can can it, you can do that yourself. You're probably better off feeding your kids real food than any of this process, especially Similac and all these other processed baby foods, which it's nothing but toxic for your kid. Okay, I think there was, Linda asked a question earlier, and she's a good friend of ours from our city, and I don't know if I can scroll back up to it, but she wanted to ask about the trusts, I think. I know there was a question about what if I have this wasn't her question, what if I have a trust that I've purchased already through a bank? Would be different than
Well, if you have a trust already, just make sure you bring the trust and your certificate with you to the Redemption Center. So all they're wanting to do is this. If you already have a current trust that was written in the language of today, which isn't the language of tomorrow, because we're going into quantum language. Okay. So the language that all this stuff has been written in is basically under the control of what was the US Inc. and the Crown and everything else. All those documents are going to be worthless once we go into the new quantum financial system. Why? Because it's quantum language, quantum syntax. So that's why you can bring a already existing trust with your certificate to prove it's legit and it's in good standing, or you fill out the Humanitarian Initiative Trust template, which just says, hey, I want to be a humanitarian, and here's what I want to do. Doesn't have to be exact. That's why we only ask you to fill out 1 of 6 initiatives so that you have something to talk about over 3 to 8 minutes with them during the interview process. And then they're going to give you a temporary trust before you leave in quantum language. You're then going to be instructed, okay, here's where you're going to take that so they can draft your legal document. When you get there to see those people that are going to draft your legal document, you could have changed every single thing that you wanted to do as far as a humanitarian project. It doesn't matter. They can modify that document to be whatever you want it to be. I had somebody that I spoke to, a small group, and he said, well, Dave, I have 7 trusts. What do I do? Well, I said, bring them all with you. Well, what about the template? I want to put them all in the template. I said, you don't need to. Just put one of them. Well, why? I said, because that's not an official legal document yet. Once you meet with the people that will draft your legal document, they'll put all 7 of your trusts into one trust. You're only going to have one trust, and you'll list everything that you want to do. Well, let's say you go a year down the road, and let's say you've got this, $100 trillion sitting in your master account, and you go, gosh, you know what? I want to go do what Jesse's doing. I want to seed into that. Well, you just go back to the people that drafted the document, and they'll add that to your trust as an addendum. Easy, simple, and now you have legal authority to now be able to send money through that. So it's not hard. We just have to be able to, follow the steps. It's all about showing we can follow directions. So that's what the Humanitarian Initiative Trust template is. It's a test to see if you can follow directions. If you can't follow directions, they don't want to give you humanitarian money. Why? Because you're going to screw up. You're going to tap into it for the wrong reasons. And there's off-planet compliance. My company is going to be helping people to make sure that they're not doing that. So that way, when the quarterly review comes around, you pass with flying colors, and you never put your Humanitarian Initiative Trust money at risk, because they will take it away. They'll take it away from you and give it to somebody else who's more responsible. So again, there's tremendous responsibility that comes with being a humanitarian. That's why I've said many times, and Jesse's heard me say this, if you've been handing out Zim bonds to teenagers, you need to collect them back. Why? Because if anything that's been given as a gift, they have to have a notarized letter from the donor in order for it to be redeemable. If they don't, it won't be redeemed. They'll just take it back. Okay, so that's important. And you don't want to put responsibility on a teenager at that early age, because you'll wreck them. So you're better off if you turn around and redeem it because you were the rightful owner, and they know who bought what, when you bought it. They have all the records. And then you can set up a trust for them, or you can make a distribution to them as when needed. But let them be kids. Let them enjoy growing up, because all 18 to 26-year-olds have to serve 2 years in the military. They're going to get money, Jesse, in their Quantum Access account to start. So $3 million, somewhere in that range. And they're the ones that are going to buy up all this empty real estate that's sitting empty because nobody's there anymore. They're going to be able to buy the used cars. Why? Because all of the projects that they're going to work on being in the military are the national humanitarian projects. They're going to be the labor force. They're going to be the drivers, the construction workers, the assistants, the back office, logistics, and they'll have money to buy a house. So they're permanently located. They'll work in their area, and they'll take pride in the country because they helped rebuild it. So that's about all I want to say on that.
Linda's specific question was, will Dave speak about the trust, please, and thank you specifically for Canada? And I'm not sure.
Canada will be treated the same way the United States is. So what happens here with the redemption centers is being duplicated in Canada. So there won't be much of a difference at all.
Okay. Any final things that you wanted to share? Anything you wanted to share before we wrap this up?
Well, the only thing that, again, the most important thing right now is making sure, number one, you're right with God. That's number one. If you got to put some stuff down, you got to stop posting, you stop watching videos, do that first off. Number two, if your desire is to be humanitarian, get over to my profile page on Twitter, download version 4 of the Humanitarian Initiative Trust template and complete it. 99% done. Get it bound in the clear poly portfolio presentation folder. This is all part of the process to see if you can follow instructions. Make sure that you have all of your currencies and bonds photocopied in color. You have all of your invoices for purchasing. You have your notarized gift letters if you received it from somebody as a gift. Have all of them separated by denomination. We actually have what I call control summary sheets in the protocol book for the Redemption Center, and have them all listed, because you're going to have to tell them exactly what you have. So when you call that 800 number, which is your number, you want to make sure that you have any questions that you want to ask ready to go, because there isn't a second phone call. So if you want to know, well, can I take my spouse with me? Can I do this? Can I do that? Have that question ready. And I'll address that one real quick. Well, I've been told you can take your spouse with you. Here's the caveat. Your spouse will sign your non-disclosure letter. What does that mean? It means that if they don't honor the non-disclosure and they tell somebody about the process, not only will they lose their Redemption Center money, exchange money, and redemption money, but you will too. So I want you to think about that. It may be a situation where you do not go with your spouse to protect you and your spouse from there being a situation where loose lips could sink your ships. And that's the same reason why you don't tell your children. But you'll get a full education on that. You'll be told what you can and can't say, because you'll be monitored until the non-disclosure expires. And right now I'm being told it's 90 days. So we'll be told not to do anything with regards to our projects for 90 days. So you're going to go on vacations. You're just going to relax. You're going to have your staycations, and you're not going to talk one word about the process or the money to your spouse, to your children, to your neighbors, to anybody until that period expires. And then after that, I wouldn't tell anybody about how much money you have, how you were blessed, and it's not any of their business. And if they press you on it, you need to tell them to, you know what? And if they persist, let them know. I'm going to report you if you continue, because you don't need to know any of this, and you don't ask. Okay. God's dealing with each person individually. There's more than enough money for everybody. So don't worry about it. The other thing is, okay, we got the Redemption Center. You're getting prepared for it, getting right with God. You're taking care of your Humanitarian Initiative Trust. You're separating all your currencies by denomination. You're filling out your summary sheets so you know how to address the questions that are going to be answered to you when you go, or when you call the 800 number. They're going to do the same thing when you arrive. You're going to have to take all of your currencies and your bonds, and they will be authenticated first thing, even before they do your scan. So they're going to make sure you have exactly what you told them you had on the phone. So don't lie. You don't want to get caught in a lie. Well, you told the regional call center you had 2 Zim bonds, and now you showed up and you have 15. Why didn't you tell us the truth to begin with? And the reason for that is because, number one, they're trying to determine how long it's going to take to put you through the system. So you just caused a delay, because I'm sure they've got this down to the minute, and there'll be people that don't understand this. And who knows, maybe they have a pallet of dinar, and they're going to say, oh yeah, I have a couple dinar. Okay, well, how many do you have? Well, I have 5. And when they show up with suitcases full of dinar, they're probably going to be turned away, and they won't exchange them because they lied. Or they'll just confiscate them immediately and say, well, you lied. You didn't tell us how much you had. You need to proceed through your scan, and you're not going to pass your scan. So again, this is do or die, folks. There's no do-overs. God is eradicating all evil. Evil is not coming into his new economy. And I can't be more serious than I am right now. I have compassion for each and every person out there. You have no idea the hours of tears that I've shed for all of you. Being with the Lord, the equivalent of 2 full-time jobs a day. I hear it. I feel it from him. We have wept together over you, over those that are going to be lost. Make sure you're not one of them. Take this to heart, okay? Take it to heart. There's time. He's waiting for you to rush back into his open arms so he can love you and he can restore you. Jesse.
Well, thank you so much for taking this time, coming on here and sharing this information, with everybody here today. We've got over 1,000 people here now live with us. So, numbers just kept growing as we went.
Thank you.
I believe we've got, over almost 550 on Rumble. Thanks everybody. Please you can like, subscribe, share this out, and also consider subscribing to our monthly Rumble channel. Would be great to help support our work. And everybody else, like, thumbs up, subscribe, share this out. Let's all face infinity without flinching. Knowledge is power. The more knowledge we all have collectively, the less power they have over us. For one love, one heart, one life. Namaste, everyone. And if they ever ask you to put on a breathing inhibitor,
I say namaste.
you say no. This is the beautiful Angeline.
Oh, fantastic.
So she just was here. I don't know if you saw me looking over and smiling, and the Hawk's ready to take a walk. So we'll see you all next time we see you back here on the Missing Link. How can I reach out to find more about this greenhouse system? You can email me. Emails are in the comments. Reach out to me, and I can let you know stuff that we're working on, and the stuff that we think we're gonna implement as soon as we're able to. So love you all. Next week on the Missing Link Live, and I heard someone mention Gene Decode. I believe he is booked for when is that? I feel he's not till January 28th, but next week on the Missing Link, we've got Aaron Day. He talks lots about cryptocurrencies. Nothing on Tuesday. Wednesday, we've got Sheldon Marco. He's got kind of a small off-grid community. On Thursday, potentially we have someone named Goblin Mystery. On Friday, we've got Dr. Garrett Smith. Apparently, that's going to be an interesting conversation. And then on Saturday, we've got Robert Brame. He's an arborist from California that's been talking about all the directed energy weapons, and he's going to go specifically in depth on stuff that's happening in California. And you're going to be, awakened to the fact that, a lot of these so-called, disasters and fires are actually directed energy weapons, because there's plastics that are still there, there's trees that are still there, but houses and cars and other things decimated by trees that don't even look like they even got burnt at all. So he's got actual picture evidence. He goes to all the sites and actually photographs it all. So he's definitely an interesting man. I think we've had him a couple times on before. So thanks again. Final thoughts, David?
Get a hold of Terrence.
Get a hold of Terrence. Let's get Terrence on the Missing Link Live. Call out to Terrence Howard. We definitely want to, chat with you here on our show. Love y'all. Have a wonderful weekend wherever you are in the world, and we'll see you next time we see you back here on the Missing Link. Bye, everyone. Bye, David. God bless y'all.
Bye-bye.